Hi, I'm Sharon Dean. This is my Border Terrier Scamp, and during lockdown we thought we'd show you how you can reduce your living costs and grow some food at home just with the materials we have to hand. To grow some microgreens or baby greens that are going to be ready to eat in 1 or 2 weeks' time, you only need three things. The first, of course, is soil, really fine seed raising mix, and I've already posted a YouTube on how we can make this just from the materials we have at home, and if we have them, some water retention medium like coconut coir. So subscribe to my channel below and check out that YouTube on how you can actually make your own seed raising mix. The other thing you're going to need, of course, are seeds. Now, if you've saved seeds, this is a great way to use them up, and I'll be posting in a couple of days how you can save them ready for next year. But meanwhile, I managed to get some rocket when I was at my local New World last week, and there are also the seed supply companies. They are still operating, and you can order online, and I'll put the links to them down below. Now you can order just about any type of seed that you like to eat. Rocket, lettuce, spinach, mizuna, silver beet, that Chinese greens, all those green leafy vegetables that you usually eat. Mesclun, of course, is a mix of all of those, so that gives you a good variety all in one. Also kale, celery, sorrel, broccoli, alfalfa, and the cresses, mustard and watercress, have got a really nice peppery flavour. So you can grow all of those into microgreens or baby greens. Also, you can grow the herbs. Now they've got a much more intense flavour, and you're not going to want a whole salad of basil, but they really add variety. The other ones you can grow are your root vegetables, because you can eat the leaves of these: radish, beets, calabria, even carrots. Onions, of course, are a really strong flavour. So once again, you're not going to want a full salad of them, but they're a nice variety to add in. And the flowers, sunflower, borage has got a nice cucumbery flavour, and nasturtium a deep peppery flavour. So choose a variety of things you like, but not just for flavour. Also choose for colour, because some of the beets or the red silver beet and red mizuna look really fantastic in a salad. Now if you are buying your seeds, when you open a packet, always open it from the bottom. It means if you don't use the whole packet and you fold the packet over, it's easy to see the name. The other thing you're going to need, of course, is some container to grow them in. And you can repurpose anything you have lying around. If you want it to look pretty, a nice cane basket will look nice. The colander, the holes in it were just a little bit big, so I just lined it with a paper towel, or any sort of old plastic container you've got lying around. Even tins that your fish comes in, eat the fish, and you can grow a different variety in each tin. And that looks really quite cool on the bench. If you want to, you can make sure there's drainage holes in the bottom of your container. It means if you overwater, the water will drain out. And you can just poke the holes in the bottom of a container with a pair of scissors or a drill, or even melt it with a lighter. And then put another container underneath to catch the water so that you can have it inside and not make a mess. I didn't worry about that, but it's a safeguard if you want to do so. Now the difference between microgreens and baby greens is simply time. So these are both pictures of rocket, and as you can see, the top one, that is just the cotyledon leaves. They are the first leaves that a plant puts out, and they're the leaves that are inside the seed. So as you can see, they look totally different to what they call the true leaves, which come next. So microgreens, you harvest just the cotyledon leaves, maybe the very first baby true leaves, and usually they're ready about 2 weeks depending on the temperature. Baby greens is a little bit longer, takes 4 to 6 weeks, and by then the roots have developed a little bit. So you cut off the true leaves, eat them, and because the roots are already there, they will often regrow, and you can get 2 or 3 crops from the same seed. I chose to grow baby greens because I already have sprouts growing on the bench, and there's not a huge lot of difference between microgreens and sprouts. So see one of my previous YouTubes for how to grow sprouts on your bench. So when I sprinkle the seed, I used the whole packet in this little container, and the seed was about 1 centimetre apart. If you were going to grow baby microgreens, you would want the seed even denser, maybe 1 or 2 millimetres apart. So I sprinkled the seed over, and then I simply patted the soil down. I did not put any soil on top of the seed. The main reason seed doesn't grow is that we tend to plant it too deep. Seed should only be planted the depth of the seed. And in the case of rocket, the seed is as fine as a grain of sand. So I just sprinkled it on top, and by patting it down, that was enough to push it in the fine seed raising mix. The only reason you actually put soil on top of a seed, because of course the seed's got to struggle through that soil to get to light, the only reason we do it is to keep the seed constantly moist. If the seed dries out and gets wet again and dries out again, that's when it's going to die. So if you can cover your container with something to keep the moisture in, it will keep it in. Now don't wet your container too much with a hose or a watering can, because that will swirl the seed around and bury it too deep. If you've got a container that you use for cleaning, that's a spray container, that's absolutely perfect. Just wash it out really, really, really well, and then wash it out again. Make sure you're just using pure water, no sort of bleach or cleaning fluid. And just mist the top of your seed with water and make that top nice and damp. Not saturated, but don't let it dry out. So you need to check it once a day, maybe twice a day, and keep it that even consistency. And then cover your container with plastic. Now you can just stretch Glad wrap over top of one of your containers. You can put an old piece of glass on top of your containers. I chose the container I did, which was actually, believe it or not, something I used to keep slides in. That's how old it was, but I thought it was a great way to reuse it. Because it had this lid that already went over. And you can see by the next day this has condensation on it. Not so much that it is dripping back down into the seeds and putting a great big heavy raindrop on that poor little seed, but just enough to keep the whole environment moist and warm. Seeds need warmth to germinate. They do not need sunlight. Until those cotyledon leaves are up and open and photosynthesizing, there is no need for sunlight. But they do need constant warmth, and ideally at least 15 to 20 degrees. So anywhere inside is usually fine. Don't put them in direct sunlight, which is going to get too hot and dry during the day. Just anywhere that's nice and warm. And after 3 or 4 days, the seeds should have germinated, and you take the lid off, and that's when you need to expose them to sunlight. Now, this is about a week later with those seeds. And if I was harvesting them for microgreens and had planted them a bit more densely, I could be cutting them now. But I'm going to let them grow on for another week so that I have some baby greens that I can harvest 2 or 3 times. So subscribe to my channel below, and I will show you next week how we can save seeds so that next year we can plant as many microgreens as we like for absolutely no cost whatsoever, and also how we can recycle the green waste that we can't take to the dump at the moment really easily into compost into our garden. Until then, stay home and stay well.